Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's webinar, Putting, Art or Science? Maybe it's both. I'm here with Brenndan Cooper. We're at Tiffany Green's Golf Club in Kansas City, Missouri. As always, we are brought to you by Medicus Golf and KickX Golf. So when we ask a bunch of people, to send in their questions, what they wanted to hear, the overwhelming response was putting, which kind of amazes me because nobody ever goes to a short game school.
Or practices or putting.
Or practices or putting, or they're chipping. All they want to do is hit driver. So, we are firm believers that, well, A, you got to get the ball, then play as far down the fairway as you can. But B, you still have to have a decent short game. I mean, you can hit every green in regulation. If you're a horrible putter, it still doesn't matter.
Right.
So, we're going to talk about some of the art, which is individual techniques and things like that. We're going to show you how to do things indoors if it's raining out or you can't get to the putting green. Then we're going to talk about a little of the science part of it. So if you have any questions, just put them over here in the sidebar. I know there's a bunch already sent in earlier, so those will appear there shortly, I hope. So anyway, let's get started with some of the art of putting. So there has been, over the years, there's been a lot of great putters. They've used everything from what we'd call basically a straight back, straight through stroke to a huge kind of arcing stroke. So if we look at Bobby Locke, who is everybody talks about when it comes to putting, right? Go ahead and set up, right? So when Brenndan gets set up, Bobby Locke, they said he hooked his putts. Well, in reality, all he ever did was he just kind of rotated the face open, and then he rotated the face back through. Now, you can have success doing this if you have the right ball position. Because if your ball position's off, you could push it to the right, and when you open and don't get it closed back enough. Or if it's too far forward, you could also have too much closing, and then you're going to pull the putt offline. So arc putters or hook face putters, as we talked about Bobby Locke, can be successful, but you have to be really, really critical about your ball position. So, then you have the guys like George Lowe, who taught Jack Nicklaus how to putt. He kind of set up, he took his right forearm and he put it what's called in plane with the shaft, so be under the shaft, above the shaft, he put it in plane with the shaft, and he used what we refer to as a push stroke. So he would bend the right elbow and straighten the right elbow. And he did that from an open stance. So he would bend and straighten. Because if you were standing straight and you use this technique, the club would come too much to the inside and it would push to the outside.
Yeah.
So, and in other terms, it's called a push basic stroke. If you use that stroke, you're going to have to stand open the line.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can't use any shoulders if you're open because then the club will be going out.
And then you're fighting yourself.
Right. So you've got that. So you had that. And then you had, Crenshaw, who just kind of stood tall and just kind of moved his shoulders and arced the club, kind of like Bobby Locke.
And it was a pretty good size arc too.
A good stroke. Then you had the guys that would just pop putt it. They'd take it back and they'd hit it and just kind of stop and pop it based on the speed of the greens or whatever, which again takes a lot of feel, I think, out of the stroke.
Yeah.
So if you want to add to any of this,
well, you're doing good. You're doing good.
But so, then you have the guys that anchor it, obviously. You have the long putter guys. I mean, these are all, their particular art of it. Then you have the guys that do like Bernhard Longer, who's left-hand low, and Jordan Spieth. Then you have the guys that, I don't even know how they do that. Claw, whatever that is.
You're close. There you go.
Then you have the guys that would use the claw, right?
And then the saw.
And then the saw, I don't know about that one.
I think the saw was this. I've seen guys do something like that. They're actually flipping.
Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah.
Claw saw. I can't keep it straight. But anyway.
Yeah. So there are lots of different ways to putt and get the ball.
Right.
So that's the individual art. You have to find out what works best for you as a player. It helps you see the line the best, helps you control your stroke the best.
Yeah.
Some players will putt and they will, they'll put the ball kind of in the middle of their stance, right? And they'll lean a little bit left. These players don't have a lot of arc to their stroke because the ball's back pretty far. All right, so they'd be more of a what would feel like a straight back, straight through stroke. This is just my personal. I move it all the way up just off my left big toe because that way it helps me not take it in so much. It also helps me just keep it on line on the through side.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah, just like you're saying, there's umpteen million ways to do it. And,
Right.
and the thing that's common with all those players, whether you're Nicholas or Crenshaw or whoever, every one of them were able to start the ball where they had the putter face aimed, right? And then more times than not, they had the proper speed.
Right.
So those are the two common threads there of why you've got so many different putting strokes, but yet they're very effective.
Right. Well, years ago, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, Ron Green, and Ron at the time was coaching Brad Faxon, Joe Durant, and all these guys, Kenny Barry. So we were talking about putting, and he said he asked Brad what he's thinking about when he's putting, because Faxon's a pretty good putter. He goes, I actually practice not carrying. I go, well, what does that mean? He goes, well, it's not life or death. Okay, I mean, I'm not going to walk out and just fall over and die if I don't make this putt.
Right.
A lot of people get so tensed up over that putt, right? And those are the people you see that are on the 18th hole. They got a 10-footer to win the press 4 different ways, and they'll look at this putt for 20 minutes.
Yep.
They'll hit it, it'll go 3 feet past the hole. They walk up, turn around, they go like that, and it goes like that. So, they put way too much pressure on themselves to make that putt.
Yeah. Or they'll miss the first one, drop another one to make it. You always make the second one, don't you?
Right. And if you can't make the second one, it's not a makeable putt.
Yeah.
Okay. And so don't keep trying, because when you get to 4 and you're not making it, you're just making yourself feel even worse. Okay. So, a couple of the drills. I mean, this is just a piece of wood basically cut out. I'll show it up here. All right, it's just cut out with a hole in the middle of it. So if you're practicing on your carpet, you can use a glass, you can use whatever. All you're trying to do is get a feel for your stroke and put it in the center of that hole. Okay, I mean, it's very, very simple to do. You can use dowel rods, right?
Yeah. As far as if you've got a couple dowel rods, and everybody that watches us anytime over a couple webinars know we love our rods and alignment rods. So you can set a couple of these up, and it's just like when you go bowling. If you've ever gone bowling with the bumpers on the side. So
Right. Gutters?
Gutters. I think they're called bumpers. For the gutters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know, mine goes in the gutter.
just set them up to where you just got just enough space for your putter, and just practice on letting the ball roll right through the middle of those. And if you're bouncing it off the bumpers there, well then we're not controlling this club face very well. Right. Because if your face is open or closed, well, that ball's going to want to jump one way or the other. So that's a great way to teach yourself not only club face control, but you can also see kind of a little bit what path is doing as well.
Right, and then we use 2x4s a lot. And what we do is we have the player set up with the flat edge of the putter, if it has the flat edge, up against the 2x4. And then as you take this back, it's going to go up. It's just not going to go inward because this is a vertical plane.
Yeah.
Right? So the idea is to keep the flat backside of the putter on this back and through. Now, we like to use a 4-foot board, but you're going to hit like a 10-foot putt. So let's say that I'm set up and I come into this and I close the face. It's going to ricochet off the end of the board, so you close the face, right? So another one would be if I come in here and I open the face some and push outward, well, see, that came clear off the board. So I would have missed that putt to the right. So there's lots of different ways you can create these little drills for yourself to work on this.
Yeah, right? They're great things to do at home.
Yeah.
Like you were saying earlier, with as much rain that we've been getting in this monsoon season of Kansas City, we've had to do a lot of these things.
Yeah.
When we use the 2x4, I mean, it's not that we're advocating straight back, straight through. Right? We're not really advocating an arc. It's just you got to learn to control the general path and face control.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the science of putting. So there's lots of theories out there. Some say it should roll past the hole 17 inches. Some say it should roll past the hole 8 inches. Some say 12 inches. And I think that's going to depend a great deal upon the type of grass that you have. If it's a fast green or a slow green, because if you're trying to knock it 8 inches past on a fast green, that requires a different feel or touch than would be on a green that's rolling at a 5.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
So a putt you would have hit at 8 inches past on a 5, you'd knock 25 feet past on a green that's a 10 instead.
Right, exactly.
So you have to kind of watch those things too. Now, science will tell you that if this ball is going to drop in a hole, okay, so let's say that this is the hole. I'm going to step up here so you can see it. So if this ball is going to drop in this hole, more than half of that ball has to be below the surface of the green to go in. So what speed now is going to produce that, right? So the speed that really produces that is a ball that doesn't hit the back edge of the hole, but it hits the container down here, where they put the cup in. So if you're hitting the container, the white part down here, the insert, and not the top of it where the grass is, that's a speed that will get more than half of this ball down there.
Yeah.
Right? So we use a number of things when we're measuring, and we'll measure slope, percentages. This is just a little tool here. I'll have Brenndan go through this. You can walk up and show it to you, close to the camera.
What this is it's a basic level here. Not your basic level, I should say, but you can go to, where did we get this? Lowe's. And it will actually give you percentage of slope. So if I turn it on, and so now I've got it set for percentage of slope. So
they can see that. There we go.
So
now
now
it's backwards, but you guys can see it.
you can see how I'll move it up and down.
So let's say that this was the surface it was on. Okay.
So right now that's a 3 bouncing back and forth, but almost 3% slope right there.
And that's going down.
Correct.
So if I went this way,
You're almost 1%.
all right, so see it, but looking in the camera view here, what you guys are seeing, it looks like it's way up in the air. Right, but that
Yep.
gives it there. So if I turned it, and that's going, from our view, uphill or downhill.
Yep.
Now if we turn it this way, right now we're doing it side hill, right? I'm just gonna turn it a little bit like that.
22, 23.
Okay, so that's a lot slow.
The ball's not going to stay there.
Yeah, it's not gonna stay, no.
So what this is, what we use this level for, we use it obviously to determine where, the slope is, but we also, for people to get a good idea as far as what actual percentage of slope looks like. Right? Because more times than not, when you're out playing, 90% of the time you're going to be playing on a 1 or 2% slope. Right? I mean, there'll be some times where it's 3, but very rarely are they going to put the pins in 4 or more than that, because the ball's just not going to stay there.
Right.
So, it's good to train your eyes, because then you can start getting a feel for what that percentage is and how much break is going to be going to that particular hole, or that particular slope, I should say.
Well, that's just like this one hole we have out here on the putting green. When they put it in that corner, it slopes up at about this angle.
Yeah.
And everybody's hitting the putt to this hole, and most of them don't get there. I go, you guys are playing this hole wrong. I was out there with Tommy Wilson one day, one remember, but you have to get it up past it and let it bring it back down.
Yeah.
So they came back down and in the hole. So then I set it above the hole, and I said, now how would you putt this? Because, well, I just tap it, roll it down the hole. Once you get it up, just slope it up.
Yeah.
And that one went all so.
Yeah, and I think we measured that, and that's about an 8% or something like that. But, a lot of times when people are putting, it's fun to kind of mess around with those, but if you're actually out practicing, don't spend a lot of time. You want to spend it on the holes that look like they don't have much at all, because 90% of the time those are the holes you're going to be putting on or on the golf course.
Right, and 10-foot length putts.
Yes.
Because you're going to have a lot of 10, 15-foot range putts. So you spend a lot of time on those. We tell our players when they first get to the course, that when they get on the putting green, putt from edge to edge, get a feel for speed for that length putt, and then gradually start moving it in. but always start with longer putts, because you know the biggest thing is you're not going to make a large percentage of those anyway.
Right.
If you start with 3-foot putts and you start missing those automatically, your whole day is going to be ruined if you go on the golf course.
Yeah. Yeah.
So start with the longer putts that have the lowest probability, then start moving them closer.
Yeah, you know, you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, there's so many times when somebody's got a 20-footer on the golf course, then we're thinking line and make, and then all of a sudden they knock it 5 feet high or 5 feet short and they miss that one. You know, when you start getting that distance there, your thought process should be speed, and oh yeah, more speed.
Speed, right? Yeah, because once you have the line, you get the line.
Yeah.
Because generally, let's say a 20-foot putt, nobody's going to hit it 10 feet right or left.
Right.
Right? But they will leave it either 10 feet short or 10 feet long.
Yeah.
So focus more on the pace and the speed.
You can get the general aim. Just you really need to focus on the speed of it.
Right. Right. All right. So we got a couple of questions. Let me go over here and see what we've got. All right. So the first one is from Richard. No matter how hard I try to putt straight, I miss some to the right, some to the left, and some are short. How can I become a great putter? Well, we just got to talk about this right here. The long and the short is focusing on the pace. The right and left, a great drill for you would be to use this 2x4, or to use the alignment rods on the ground. Make sure you're not hitting either side. Because you know we have a couple of players that are really good ball strikers, and their putting stroke's pretty good, but they have not played enough yet to learn how to feel what a 20-footer feels like versus a 10-footer doing the same speed. And that's just trials and trials and getting the feel for things.
Yeah, and you know one thing as far as learning speed is you know, if you do go out to the putting green, just drop a ball at one particular distance. Don't stand there and putt 4 or 5 balls from 20 feet. Well, drop a ball from 6 and go putt another one from 15 and another one from 8. Keep changing up your distances so that way you're doing a different length of putt every time.
Right.
That's going to help you as far as getting a feel for the green a lot better.
Well, and this is another drill that that we use that Brenndan uses a lot. Let's say this is the hole. So we're having the player putt and just bring it in the front side of the hole. The next putt we want to come to the middle of the hole, and the third putt we want to come to the back of the hole, but all from the same distance.
Yeah.
So that's about a 3-foot putt. So again, you're trying to get it to where the ball just comes in on the front, same distance goes to the middle, same distance goes to the back. So that's another way to work on it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what else we got here. Mary, I have trouble hitting my putts in the right direction. How do I align my putter, the ball, and the hole so I'm at least close to 2-putting? I've been playing for 2 years. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and start on that, getting her putts in the right direction, aligning the club, the ball, and the hole. The first thing you have to take out of the equation on there is the hole.
Yeah.
Because that may not be where you want the ball to start.
Well, let's assume that if you're on a straight putt. I mean, we do. I know you do the same, and I do the same. We have our players practice a lot of straight putts. I mean, and the reason for that is because not only are we practicing making putts, but it's also a good time to make sure we're aiming square and everything like that. So it's face and path, and just kind of keep everything in tune. So when you practice making putts from a short distance, but do it on a dead straight putt. So that way you can really feel where the putter face is aimed, how is my body in relation to my line. And again, use an alignment rod, and give you this here. And a station you can make on the golf course is, I'll back up so you can kind of see it. I'm going to use this wooden thingamajigger here as the hole. But let's say that's the hole and we're on the putting green. We'll take these 2 alignment rods, and then you'll just make this little bumper gate right here. And normally it's a little bit more narrow, but the root thing being pretty wide. You can see. So now, again, this is what we want this to be, a straight putt. So now when I set into the ball here, kind of towards the back end of the rods, I can make sure that my putter face is nice and square to the rods that are on the ground. Okay? I can get a sense of where my body, where my shoulder line's going. And even if I'm an open stance putter, you can still make sure that face is going where you want it to go. Right? And then now you can just get a feel and just see how the ball's entering the hole.
Well, the thing that we see the most of, we'll bring the putter up here so you guys can see this. All right, so if you can see these lines on this putter, what we want to do, and maybe you can see it better from this angle. There we go. Yeah. So what a lot of people do is they'll come up to the ball, and let's say your ball has a line on it. Well, the line's over here. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. So take that line and make sure that it is in line, you know, or a parallel line to the lines on your putter. Make sure also, we see a lot of people address the ball toward the sides, nowhere near the middle of it.
Yeah.
All right, so you line all these things up. So if you have pick a spot on the ground on your line of your putt, align the ball to that. That's when you see the guys and gals on tour and they're down there fiddling around with their ball. They're taking this line right here. Okay, every ball has one, and they're putting it on the line they want the ball to start on. Then they come up and they set their club to that line, making sure that face is square to it. Right. So that's how you align these things. But again, it takes time to do it, to learn to do it every time.
Yeah.
So originally it may take you more time because you're down there fiddling with it. But if you've got your ball marked and you're down here trying to set the line, don't pick the mark up and then go like this. Do your mark, get this set, pull your mark away.
Yeah.
And come back and look at it. If it's not where you want it, you have to remark your ball so that you can touch it and move it again. All right, so just don't come up there and start moving things around.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's the best way to do it. You can also take, from an overhead view, if you go ahead and set up to this, you can take some string and get you a couple of barbecue skewers, and you tie them here and you put this line over the line of your putt so that when you're looking down, you can align your putter square to this as well. Okay? So this line should be in the middle of that putter face. Okay? And if it isn't, then just adjust your putter. And now as you take it back and through, you can see if it's staying on there or not, and you can see if you're lined up square to it. Okay? All right, let's see what else we've got here. We got another putting question, and then we're going to go to a full swing one. Okay, Air. One of the best short game golfers of his time, Paul Runyon, had his own putting chipping technique. What are the advantages of doing it his way? Well, about Paul.
Well, I think from a putting standpoint, I mean, all Paul was trying to do was his forearms in line. Yeah, he was trying to get his forearms in line. So more times than not, people will grip a putter pretty conventional like this, or we talked earlier about crosshand. But what he did was he rolled the left hand way under like this, and then rolled the right way under like that, if I'm not mistaken. And then he had his elbows out, and everything was kind of in line like this. So you can see, back up this way. What this did is this took the hands out of it, and it kept the forearms and shaft all on the same plane, basically.
Right.
It was great for him. If somebody gets, if I see a player that's very flippy like this, well, more times than not, it's because they've got the putter way in the fingers. So I'll get them more in the palm, or it feels to them like the left hand's rolled over more. Yeah. And that's fine. That type of method that he used, it worked great for him, and we kind of prescribed that same thing to other students. Just depends, but it's another way of doing it.
And he chipped the same one.
So, he simplified it by taking the hands out and keeping the shaft and the forearms on a single plane.
Right. So you could ask Sam Snead, what he thought about Paul Runnion's short game. I don't think I know that. Snead's out driving him by 100 yards at the PGA Championship. And Paul Runyon wore him out with his short game.
There you go. So we could do like Sam did, this side saddle.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. The last question we had is from Travis. How can you choose the right driver loft? Well,
There's a lot of variables that come into that.
The driver loft is going to be dependent upon shaft flex, how you're loading the shaft, how you're unloading the shaft, what kind of trajectory you're trying to get, the spin rate.
Launch angle,
Yeah.
angle of attack.
Right.
You know, so contact point on the face.
Right.
You know, there's so many variables, and definitely, Travis, we want to try to make sure we give you some direction. You know, go have somebody where you can actually get some data. And what I mean by data is get some numbers. You know, so that way you can see, like Chuck was saying, launch angle, spin rate, angle of attack. You know, club head speed, where are you hitting it on the face? Because all those factors come into play as far as shaft, you know, loft and shaft flex and length. You know, you could have a driver that's fit for you perfectly, but if you're hitting it high on the face, well, theoretically, the ball's going to launch out a little bit higher than what the effective loft is. So, you know, not trying to dodge the question, but I would go find somebody that's got, you know, a machine that can fit you and give you some numbers.
Right. I mean, you know, when the best players in the world, people on the PGA Tour, are playing 10.5-degree loft drivers, a lot of the guys that hit it accurately are hitting 10.5-degree drivers, but yet, you know, the average golfer will go out and they'll buy a 9-degree loft driver or an 8-degree loft driver, thinking that's magic.
Yeah.
So, you know, the guys that do long drive typically use between 4 and 5-degree loft drivers. They're swinging up 8 to 10 degrees, and they're generating club head speeds, you know, of 130 miles an hour plus.
Yeah.
Right. So for them, they need that lower loft with those triple X shafts.
Yeah.
You know, the average person that's going to swing at 90 miles an hour, or even 100 miles an hour, doesn't need that stiff shaft, and they need more loft.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of variables, but I would definitely recommend having somebody get you some numbers that you can look at.
Let's see if there's one more on here. No, I think that was it. I think Travis was the last of the Mohicans there. Okay, so we want to thank you all for joining us. Thanks for all the questions. Be sure to send in what you'd like to see us talk about, because no subject is untouchable, as long as it's related to golf.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
All right.
All right, 100 more days until it's going to be Red Friday, every Friday. And, yeah, whatever part of that is.
Yeah.
Blue green.
Yeah.
Let's hope the boys can keep it going this year, and go Chiefs. See you guys.